It began as a routine year-end broadcast segment until listeners realized something extraordinary was unfolding on the airwaves. For the second time in his career, Jin of BTS had just been named K-pop Artist of the Year 2025 by a major radio outlet in Mexico, sending a ripple of excitement through fans across 2 continents and reigniting conversations about how far his solo influence now reaches beyond Asia. According to on-air announcements and accompanying social media posts from the broadcaster, Jin dominated listener voting, request tallies, and engagement metrics throughout the year, categories that weigh heavily in the station's annual honors. DJs reportedly described his songs as some of the most frequently requested K-pop tracks of 2025, often surfacing during prime-time slots and special countdown programs dedicated to international music trends. The fact that he claimed the title for a second time only amplified the surprise, as repeat wins by non-Spanish-speaking artists remain relatively rare in the Latin radio market. The achievement also underscores a broader shift in Mexico's pop music landscape. While Latin pop and regional genres continue to rule the charts, K-pop has steadily carved out a loyal following, powered by streaming platforms, online fan communities, and sold-out cinema broadcasts of concerts and documentaries. Jin's recognition suggests that his music has broken through not only among dedicated fans, but also among casual radio listeners, an audience often seen as a truer gauge of mainstream appeal. Industry watchers point to 2025 as a pivotal year in Jin's solo journey. His releases were praised for their emotional clarity and melodic warmth, qualities that translate particularly well to radio formats. Programmers reportedly highlighted the consistency of his airplay performance, noting how tracks maintained strong request numbers weeks after debut, an indicator of longevity rather than short-lived hype. In a competitive global market crowded with new debuts and crossover acts, sustaining that level of attention is no small feat. Online, the response was immediate and electric. Spanish-language congratulatory posts surged across platforms, with fans thanking Mexican broadcasters for spotlighting Jin's artistry once again. Many framed the moment as proof that his voice resonates regardless of language barriers, while others reminisced about his first win and marveled at how quickly his international footprint has expanded since then. Hashtags combining Korean and Spanish phrases trended in several regions, reflecting the multicultural fanbase celebrating the news in real time. Although Jin had not yet released an official statement at the time of the announcement, fans speculated that a message of gratitude would soon follow, possibly echoing his past habit of crediting listeners and supporters around the world whenever international accolades arrive. Observers also predicted that fellow BTS members might acknowledge the milestone, a gesture that historically fuels even greater online buzz and media coverage. Beyond the trophy itself, the honor carries symbolic weight. Being recognized twice by overseas radio suggests a sustained connection rather than a fleeting global moment, reinforcing Jin's position as a solo artist capable of commanding attention far from his home market. In an era when streaming numbers often dominate headlines, radio recognition, driven largely by audience requests, adds a different kind of credibility, pointing to organic popularity among everyday listeners. As K-pop continues its march across global media, Jin's latest Mexican accolade stands as another chapter in that story, a reminder that a song recorded in Seoul can find a devoted audience thousands of miles away, and that cultural borders are becoming increasingly porous in the age of worldwide fandom. For Jin, being crowned K-pop Artist of the Year 2025 once again is not just a personal victory, it is a testament to how powerfully his music now travels, echoing from studio booths to car radios, from late-night countdown shows to listeners who may have discovered his voice for the very first time. The conversation did not stop at celebration alone. It quickly shifted toward what this repeat recognition might mean for the next chapter of Jin's career. Entertainment commentators in Mexico began speculating on whether the sustained radio momentum could translate into future promotional activities in Latin America, from exclusive interviews to special broadcast performances, or even tour stops should schedules allow. Several DJs hinted on air that Jin's team had been attentive to regional audiences in recent years, a subtle acknowledgement that international listeners are no longer a secondary market, but a central pillar of K-pop's global strategy. The achievement also reignited discussion about the broader solo era unfolding within BTS. As individual members continue to explore personal musical identities, Jin's second Mexican radio honor was framed by some analysts as evidence that those solo paths are not diluting the group's worldwide influence. If anything, they appear to be multiplying it. Each member's success opens new doors in different territories, collectively strengthening BTS's already formidable international presence. Music critics in Latin media outlets highlighted how Jin's vocal style and emotional delivery may be particularly well-suited to Spanish-speaking audiences, even without language localization. They pointed to a long-standing tradition of ballads and heartfelt pop in the region, suggesting that his songs tap into universal sentiments that transcend lyrical comprehension. In that sense, the award was portrayed not merely as a popularity contest, but as a reflection of musical sensibilities aligning across cultures. Fans, meanwhile, treated the moment as both validation and motivation. Online communities organized streaming parties and radio request drives, determined to keep Jin's tracks circulating well into the new year. Some even launched multilingual tribute projects, posting messages in Korean, Spanish, English, and Portuguese to illustrate the scope of his reach. For many, the second win carried a narrative arc, proof that what began as curiosity in overseas markets has matured into lasting loyalty. Behind the scenes, industry insiders suggested that international radio recognition remains a powerful currency, even in the streaming-dominated era. Unlike chart placements that can spike during release weeks, repeated radio honors imply sustained engagement across months, often driven by listeners who casually encounter a song and choose to request it again. That distinction lent additional weight to Jin's title, positioning it as a marker of long-term resonance rather than a single viral moment. As K-pop continues its march across global media, Jin's latest Mexican accolade stands as another chapter in that story, a reminder that a song recorded in Seoul can find a devoted audience thousands of miles away, and that cultural borders are becoming increasingly porous in the age of worldwide fandom. For Jin, being crowned K-pop Artist of the Year 2025 once again is not just a personal victory, it is a testament to how powerfully his music now travels, echoing from studio booths to car radios, from late-night countdown shows to listeners who may have discovered his voice for the very first time. The ripple effect soon reached beyond fan circles and into industry conversations, where Jin's repeat recognition began to be framed as a case study in how global pop careers are now built. Analysts pointed out that Latin America, particularly Mexico, has emerged as one of the most influential testing grounds for international acts, with radio play often serving as a bridge between niche fandoms and everyday listeners. That Jin managed to cross that threshold twice was described as a rare accomplishment for a Korean soloist, reinforcing the idea that his appeal has matured into something closer to mainstream familiarity. Some broadcasters reportedly revisited his catalog during special retrospective segments, introducing new audiences to earlier solo material while highlighting the evolution of his sound in 2025. Call-in lines lit up with first-time listeners asking for song titles and longtime fans sharing stories of how they discovered him through late-night countdown programs. In these moments, Jin was no longer just a name circulating online. He became a voice tied to personal memories, long drives, and background soundtracks to daily life, the very fabric of radio culture. Entertainment writers also drew connections between this milestone and the broader momentum surrounding BTS's continued relevance as its members balance solo ambitions with group identity. Jin's success was portrayed as proof that stepping out individually has not fragmented their audience, but rather diversified it, allowing each member to resonate in different corners of the world while keeping the group's collective legacy intact. In that narrative, the Mexican honor functioned almost like a cultural checkpoint, evidence that the group's influence has taken root so deeply that even its solo branches can thrive far from home. For Jin, the moment has begun to acquire a symbolic glow, representing a phase of his career defined not only by accolades, but by geographic expansion. Observers noted that repeat recognition abroad often precedes more tangible forms of engagement, such as international press tours or region-focused promotional strategies. Even without official announcements, the mere possibility fueled speculation across forums and comment sections, where fans debated potential collaborations with Latin artists or special Spanish-language radio appearances. Meanwhile, the cultural conversation widened. Commentators reflected on how music consumption has shifted in the past decade, with streaming platforms enabling discovery, while traditional radio still confers a sense of communal validation. Winning a listener-driven title in Mexico was framed as occupying that sweet spot between digital virality and old-school popularity, a hybrid form of success that signals both passion and reach. As days passed and the story continued to circulate, the honor seemed to grow in meaning. What started as a surprising announcement on a broadcast schedule had transformed into a marker of longevity, adaptability, and cross-cultural connection. For fans, it was another badge of pride. For industry watchers, a data point in the ever-evolving map of global pop. And for Jin himself, it now stands as a reminder that his music is traveling farther than ever, crossing languages, borders, and airwaves with a steadiness that suggests this second coronation may not be the last chapter in his expanding international story.